Not at all. Not at all. Obviously, he can't say it's their employers. It wasn't handled badly. It was a disgraceful idea from the start. So there's nothing in it. But, Mikel can't say that, but I can, and I will say that. It was an absolute disgraceful idea from the start. It wasn't handled well. The apology was poor. The apology was from the Arsenal board, not Stan Kroenke. All he's done is hid all week like a coward, and now he's sending his son to try and, I don't know, justify their decision. Not happening. It was doomed from the start. It was stupid from the start.
Right, Akil, you're at this fans forum then later today. What time is that, incidentally?
Last thing, sort of 4 o'clock, 4:30.
Late afternoon, 4:30. Okay. Now we hear son of Stan, Josh Kroenke, will address you guys and ladies at the fans forum, and he'll address you directly. So you might get a chance to have a tilt at him. Now, what do you make of the fact that he's coming out the ether and he's going to be speaking to you?
Well, it was something we raised yesterday. So the Arsenal Supporters Trust, along with the other fans within this forum, emailed Arsenal, emailed Vinay Venkatesham, and said that it was very clear the statement was from the Arsenal board. Vinay Venkatesham is not on the Arsenal board. Let me make that clear. So unless someone from the board is going to come and apologise, the apology means absolutely nothing. So we expected Stan Kroenke or Josh Kroenke there. I'm not sure Tim Lewis or Lord Harris, who are the other two members on the board, will add much clout. So we asked for it. We expected it. To have a forum without them would have been absolutely stupid and just wouldn't have worked. So, I'm glad they're coming. But I hope they're ready for us, because we're not happy. As I said, it was a disgraceful idea. They did not consult with fans. They don't care about fans. And they've hid like cowards, as I said. It's taken, I think Josh Kroenke did attend a fans forum about 2 or 3 years ago. But that's it, 1 in 10 years. And it's taken this for him to come back. Poor. That's not how you own a football club. And Simon will know that. If you own a football club, you have responsibilities to your main stakeholders, and that's the fans. You have to engage with your fans. Otherwise, don't buy a football club, because obviously you don't get it. And they've shown that this week.
Also, it's obvious to us you're very passionate about your football club. We see the Arsenal shirts behind you. You're steeped in the football club, Akil, and why shouldn't you be? It's great to see it, because you're the lifeblood of the game. So if you get your hands on that mic, and it'll be a Zoom meeting, but you'll get your opportunity to do it, what are you going to say to Kroenke?
Well, I'm gonna tell him we're not happy. We don't want him to be owner, or his dad to be owner. I'm not bothered about him justifying this European Super League, because nothing he can say is going to make me feel, oh yeah, that was a great idea, because it wasn't a great idea. And I want to know if he's really sorry, what he's going to do, what he's going to do in terms of fan engagement. How is he going to get fans back involved in the club? Is he going to sell some shares to the fans? Is he going to, get some fan representation in? Because if he's actually sorry, then that's the stuff he should be doing. And if he's not, sell to somebody else, get rid. Of course, there's no guarantee the next owner will be any better. So I think we are working with government, and we had a meeting with Boris Johnson this week. We hope that review from Tracy Crouch will lead somewhere. But if Josh Kroenke is actually sorry, there are some tangible stuff he can do. So we'll see if he means it, put it that way.
I know, Akil, like many, when you come on and you're with us live, you want to interact a bit with Simon. Give us a short break. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with you very shortly. Akil Vyas of the Arsenal Supporters Trust, who's getting ready to speak to Kroenke directly later today.
White and Jordan on Talk Sport with Selco.
Is that okay, Akil?
For tradespeople.
Yeah, no, just put you in a spot about holding you over, but...
Busy morning. Remember, 12 o'clock on, we're going to talk boxing. We hear that Fury against Joshua is going to be in August. Forget July. It's going to be August. I've got 2 dates. That's the latest I heard overnight. So first time in my life I've had 2 dates, Simon. That's another matter. It's Jim and Simon. We're live on TalkSport. We're also live on YouTube. So many people watching on that, YouTube and Facebook. If you want to watch the show, please plow on. Do that. Head over to the official TalkSport channel on those platforms. We're delighted that Akil Vyas of the Arsenal Supporters Trust has joined us live, especially as we now know that later today at the Arsenal Fans Forum, Josh Kroenke, son of Stan, will attend and address the fans directly. And this has taken us a bit by surprise, I have to say. Well, maybe not after what's happened with the Super League fallout. Now, Akil, thank you so much for this, mate. I'm going to give you this opportunity because a lot of Arsenal fans are getting in touch with us, absolutely concurring with what you're saying this morning, that you're articulating it right, you're pitching it right. You're not a fan like some of the United fans we heard earlier on, pitched up at their own training ground this morning and had to be confronted by Solskjaer, Carrick and others to say, what are you doing here? You're far from hysterical. Now, Simon and you are going to interact now. I want to say to Simon at this stage, what would you say to Akil? What's their best way forward at this stage? Because they're totally disenchanted with Kroenke Senior and Kroenke Junior.
Well, you know, the fans have made their voices heard by the very nature of the outrage and the discontent with the circumstances that are unfolding with us. And I want to be clear that what the principle of what they're trying to do, which is remonetize football, isn't wrong. The method of delivery is completely wrong. Nobody consulted the fans about the Champions League going from 9 games to 13 games and not being full of champions. So you can't consult fans on every competition you go into, but a mechanism that looks like it's going to destroy certain aspects of English football and take you into an environment which is American-based thinking is something that you need to think very carefully of. You know, and I've got no dog in the fight with Arsenal. It's a club I've always admired, but Stan Kroenke is a billionaire who likes to come eighth. You know, mediocrity is comfortable for him because being successful costs a lot of money to fund it to be inside the top 4, and being at the bottom of the league costs a lot of money to fund that. So he operates in a certain area. Yeah. I said last night on Twitter, if he managed the Beatles, he'd replace John Lennon with Ollie Murs because that's the kind of thinkings that he's got. But what I would do with the fans, if I was sitting in fans, and I know that Akil probably asked me this, and I'm going to get ahead of it.
Yeah, what's Akil's best tactic today with Kroenke?
If I was Arsenal, if I was a football club in the modern era, I would create an advisory board that ran alongside the executive board that had a fan membership on that advisory board that could feed the perspective forward so that the executive board could have an advisory board that fed it with information about how it can best serve its fan base. Because let's be clear, and I'm going to use language they're all going to hate, right? But fans are also customers. If you understand what they want, you can steer into it and give them what they want. And in return, because the one thing that football does that no other business in the world does, you can serve up crap on a weekly basis and people will still come back and watch it and pay for it and support it. They might have something to say about it. So they are owed a debt of information and communication.
Akil, how do you fancy that? I mean, who knows? Josh Kroenke, they all listen. He might be listening at the moment. Pretty sure that it could well be. So what? How do you fancy pushing him today and saying, what about creating an advisory board? And I, for one, would like to be on that board.
Yeah, I mean, I very much doubt they would go for it, but that's absolutely something we can push and want to push. I mean, we've obviously this week gone down that sort of government route in terms of if there's a change in structures, law even, then it doesn't matter who the owner is, they have to do it. Because, you know, will the Kroenkes listen to us? Will they do what we want? Probably not. They go into hiding every time. As I said, I've met Stan maybe twice at an AGM in 10 years and Josh also twice. And I mean, that's not much. So we'll certainly push them. And that's what we want. You know, if they're actually, I'll come back to that first thing. If they are actually sorry and it's not just words, then they will be looking to do something like this. But we'll see. I mean, you know, Simon,
be careful, Akil, what you wish for. The last thing you really want is government involvement, because government involvement comes with a raft of caveats that you don't really want, and the government aren't going to do anything. What they're going to do is deflect away from all the problems we've got in this country and use sport as a deflection. What we really want is independent regulation that can control how football clubs fit, because we don't want protectionism. We don't want an outrage scenario that turns into a binary choice of every owner is a crook or the new ones coming in are Johnny come latelys. You've got to create an environment where legislators, because the UEFAs of the world are going to rub their hands now and go, we've got these guys. Now they can never do anything vaguely resembling this again, because UEFA are corrupt and divisive. And they want all of the revenue and opportunities and power for themselves. But we've got to find through this the solution to football financing and the solution to proper ownership of football clubs. Because the one thing that football clubs are very unique that any other business doesn't have, and people need to understand this, and I think most of us do, but a lot of people don't, is that football clubs are public domain property. They are part of a heritage. They should have a blue plaque above the door and certain obligations upon them to be able to understand that, because they are a unique part of the fabric of this country. And the fact that we've driven prices up for players has meant that we've had to go and get overseas owners around the world to be able to bankroll our clubs. And we've got to look at the whole ecosystem. And that's the bigger challenge, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's the problem, that they're not owners, they're investors. You know, they're investing in the club. They don't have any interest in the club. If they did, they wouldn't have pushed what had happened this week, and that is partly the problem, Simon. It's taken this to happen for Josh Kroenke to have a half an hour conversation with us. Half an hour. I mean, you know, I give more time to my neighbours than that. You know what I mean? It's just, it's ridiculous, the whole thing. I mean, we'll definitely push for this. We'll definitely push for some sort of representation and advisory board, as you say. But will the Kroenkes be up for that? They don't want us to talk to them. They don't want us to get in the way. They just want us to be customers. They want us to buy season tickets, turn up, shut up, buy shirts, and then, you know, occasionally watch the team win, because we are ninth at the moment, and the Kroenkes are happy with that. As we saw, sporting merit means nothing to them.
Akil, I think it's fair to say that the Arsenal fan base over the last few years has been somewhat fractured. Strangely, has the demise of the Super League situation this week kind of pulled you all together?
Yeah, I sent a tongue-in-cheek tweet yesterday to say thank you, Stan Kroenke. You've actually brought us all together, because we now are all united in the fact that we don't like you and we don't want you to be here. So in a way, they haven't helped themselves. It's ironic, isn't it? But it's true. It's brought us all together. You know, at Arsenal, we've had the whole Arsene Wenger thing, and you know that was very decisive. But at the moment, everyone's in unity. It's great, and we are going to go after our owners and continue to.
You probably heard Arsene Wenger. The only time he's spoken this week was to us on Monday, right at the heart of it was a cauldron by then, Akil. And he said, patience, this will not happen. And Arsene was absolutely spot on with that. Maybe on YouTube, Mark Oliver is spot on with this. Simon, he says, billionaires, quite simply, do not take advice. So, I mean, what really are Akil and others going into this forum? What are they facing today?
Billionaires are autocrats in businesses that they don't have to have an accountability for, and they can make their own decisions because, on the whole, they're only responsible to their shareholders. In this business, with the unique foibles of what we have just seen, that's a very vanilla statement, because you can change the direction of the thinking, because you just have. So by definition, if it were a different scenario and a different business and they were building steel mills, they wouldn't be listening to a bunch of dissenting media and fans railing on the government to call the national sport to order because 6 people are trying to break it. You wouldn't have that in anything else. So that's wrong. But these guys and the method they've got, he's absolutely right, Akil. Football has shot itself in the foot to some extent, because it's opened the door to fans saying, we demand part ownership of these clubs now. Forget about not being listened to. Forget about how much money you've got. We're going to do whatever it takes. And they've got a government that's prepared to listen to it right now.
Akil, as if you had any choice, listen to Mr. Jordan, maybe act upon what he said and push for a place on an advisory board when you get access to Kroenke today.
We will, and just to remind people, if they don't know, you know, when KSE took over, they compulsory bought our shares. You know, many fans, including the ASD, had shares in our football club. He forcefully took those shares away. He even asked for share certificates back. It was a disgrace. There was no respect for fans.
That's legislation, though, isn't it? That's Companies Act. That's 90% purchases that require compulsory purchase of the other shares.
Well, Akil, we thoroughly respect you, mate. Go for it today when you get the opportunity, and do it right. Do it right. Akil, thank you. Akil Vias of the Arsenal Supporters Trust with us live this morning.